The Galactic Union had always feared humans. They called them Deathworlders, a species too strong, too unpredictable. To keep peace, the Union forced Earth into a treaty. It had one rule: humans must never use their full strength in war. For years, humanity obeyed. They fought only when necessary, followed the Union's laws, and kept their true power hidden. Other species saw them as dangerous, but controllable. The treaty worked, until the Xalrath Empire broke it. The Xalrath were ruthless conquerors. They believed in strength, not words. When they invaded a small human colony on the Outer Rim, they expected an easy victory. The Union watched, but did nothing. It was just another war to them. The first distress call came from the colony. No response. The second call was more desperate. Still nothing. The third and final message reached Earth. It was not a plea for help. It was a warning. They are coming. We will fight. If we fall, remember us. For a moment, Earth went silent. No response. No threats. Just silence. Then, something changed. The Xalrath expected humans to beg the Union for protection. Instead, Earth's leaders sent only one message to the Galactic Council. The treaty is broken. We are no longer bound. The Union panicked. The treaty had kept the humans controlled. Without it, no one knew what would happen. But the Xalrath did not fear trees. They only feared power, and they had no idea what was coming. A fleet of human warships, stronger and deadlier than anything the Union had seen, vanished from Earth's orbit. Their destination, Xalrath space. Humanity had spent years pretending to be civilized. Now they didn't have to pretend anymore. The Xalrath fleet hovered over the burning human colony, their massive warships casting shadows over the ruined cities. The battle had been short, too short. The Xalrath had expected resistance. But the humans fought only with outdated planetary defenses and a handful of civilian ships. It was a slaughter. Commander Vorik of the Xalrath Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the destruction unfold on his holoscreen. Pathetic, he muttered. Humans are weak. Then, the sensors blinked red. A fleet had just exited hyperspace. Hundreds of ships, moving in perfect formation. Their hulls were dark, no Union markings, no distress signals. Just silence. One of Vorik's officers hissed, "Sir, those ships, they are human." Vorik scoffed, "Let them come. We will crush them as we crushed their colony." But the humans did not answer. They did not send warnings or demands. They simply attacked. A wave of missiles tore through the Xalrath fleet before they could react. Explosions ripped through their ranks, turning warships into fireballs. Human fighters darted between the wreckage, cutting down survivors with deadly precision. Vorik watched in horror as his fleet, one of the strongest in the Empire, was torn apart within minutes. This is impossible," he growled. For years, the Xalrath believed the humans were weak. Now they realized the truth. Humans were only weak because they had been holding back. And now they weren't holding back anymore. Smoke and wreckage filled the void of space. What had once been a proud Xalrath fleet was now nothing more than floating debris. Fires still raged inside the broken husks of warships, and the screams of dying warriors echoed through the calm channels. Commander Vorik clutched the edge of his command table, his claws digging into the metal. His once mighty fleet had been reduced to ashes in mere minutes. The humans had not sent warnings. They had not negotiated. They had simply struck with deadly precision. This isn't possible," one of his officers stammered, his eyes wide with fear. They weren't supposed to be this strong. Vorik's mind raced. The Galactic Union had always told stories of human restraint. They were Deathworlders, yes, but they had agreed to be civilized. The unbreakable treaty had ensured their power was contained. But now the treaty was gone. The humans were not fighting like soldiers. They fought like hunters. Their ships moved with eerie silence, picking off the remaining Xalrath vessels one by one. There was no mercy, no hesitation, only cold, calculated destruction. A transmission blinked on the screen. For the first time since the battle began, the humans spoke. A lone figure appeared, a human admiral, his expression unreadable. His voice was calm, yet it sent a chill through every Xalrath in the room. "You started this war. You thought we were weak. You were wrong." The message ended. Vorik's breathing grew heavy. The Xalrath had always believed in power above all else. But now they had made a mistake far greater than they could have imagined. They had pushed the Deathworlders too far, and now they would pay the price. The battlefield was silent. The once mighty Xalreth fleet was shattered, their warships nothing more than burning wreckage drifting in the void. The few surviving vessels tried to retreat, but the humans didn't chase them. They didn't need to. Commander Vorik stood frozen on the bridge of his damaged flagship. His claws trembled as he watched the human fleet hold position, unmoving, unrelenting, like predators watching wounded prey. The silence was worse than the battle. It was a warning. A second transmission arrived. The same human admiral appeared on the holoscreen, his expression cold, unreadable. His voice was calm, but beneath it was a quiet fury. You have one chance. Surrender now, or we finish what we started. Vorik's officers exchanged panicked glances. The Xalreth Empire had never surrendered. To do so would be disgraceful. But this was different. This wasn't a war. This was an execution. We must retreat, one officer whispered. We must fight, another argued, though his voice lacked confidence. Vorik remained silent, his mind racing. How had it come to this? The humans had always been seen as dangerous, but manageable. The unbreakable treaty had ensured their restraint. But now that restraint was gone, and the galaxy was finally seeing what humanity was truly capable of. The Galactic Union sent an emergency transmission, urging both sides to stop the bloodshed. They begged the humans to show mercy, but humanity did not respond. The silence stretched on. Finally, Vorik made his choice. With a trembling hand, he activated the comms and spoke the words no Xalreth commander had ever dared to say before. We surrender. For the first time in history, the Xalreth Empire bowed to another species. But even as the war ended, the galaxy knew one thing for certain. The Deathworlders had changed, and they would never pretend to be civilized again. The surrender had been broadcast across the galaxy. The Xalreth Empire, the ruthless, undefeated war machine, had fallen. The Galactic Union had expected celebrations, relief, perhaps even negotiations for peace. Instead, they got silence. The human fleet did not move. They did not send diplomats or terms. They simply waited. On the bridge of the Union's Grand Council chamber, High Chancellor Odrak watched the footage with unease. Why aren't they responding? He muttered. They don't need to, one of his advisors whispered. Odrak turned to glare at him. But deep down, he understood. This was no longer about war. The humans had proven their point. They had spent years pretending to be something they weren't. Civilized, restrained, manageable. Now the mask was gone. A final transmission arrived from Earth. It was not a declaration of peace. It was not a promise of mercy. It was a warning. We followed your rules. We played your game. Never again. If you threaten us, if you harm our people, there will be no war. There will be no negotiations. There will only be silence. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, every species took a slow, fearful breath. The humans had not conquered. They had not demanded power. But they had made one thing clear. They had never been civilized. They had simply been patient. And now, the galaxy would never forget what happened when the Deathworlders stopped pretending.